Happy Monday folks, and welcome back to another episode of Adam's Eats. Hope you had a fantastic Easter weekend, met up with some family, ate some nice food, and also if you're lucky enough you might get the bank holiday Monday off as well, so you can relax even further. I can't, because I work in retail, so I've been dragged in. Now I thought today's recipe I'm going to do a chicken casserole. It's kind of a slight variation from my spring chicken casserole that I did last year, which is quite popular. A few of you have made it. Mr. Kraska sent me some pictures when his wife made it. So it's a slight variation because that one is very much lighter, more in tune with the spring weather, but at the minute it's still quite cold. So I still want that lightness from, say, something like a beef stew, which is quite heavy and dense, but I don't want it too light. I still want that nice, comforting, warming kind of feel to it. But it's very simple, it's really easy. I'm going to use chicken thighs. We're going to put some veg in there, some herbs, some nice aromats. It's going to be really delicious and really simple. So without further ado, if you look down below in the description, you can get a list of what you need. And also if you press that pause button now, you can get a list of them there as well. And the first job we need to do is to prepare the chicken thighs. Right, so I've got my chicken thighs here. As you can see, I've done all of them except for one, just because I'm going to show you for demonstration purposes. I have removed the skin. I'm trying to watch my fat intake, try and get rid of this. But if you're not concerned about that, leave the skin on, make it nice and crispy, it's going to be delicious. So I'm just going to pop that to one side. So I'll just quickly show you with this chicken thigh, and all it's a case of doing is just removing the skin. It's really simple, it just kind of peels off like paper, pull it off, and then I'm just going to trim off just the little fatty nuggets off of there because I don't really want too much fat in my casserole. And then I'm going to flip it over and then just using a sharp knife just cut either side of the bone, okay, until you kind of reveal the sides. And then you want to get your knife underneath, work it underneath the bone till it comes out the other side, and then just trim off the other end. Now sometimes you'll find there's a little bit of cartilage just left over, so all you need to do is just trim that off. And then all I did was just flip it back over and then cut each thigh in half like that. So you've got two nice big chunky pieces. So get that in there. I'm going to wash my hands. Next thing I'm going to do is to season up the chicken. Now you can use salt and pepper, that's fine. But I'm going to use this adobo seasoning that Brenda Rigdon sent me in my care packages. Don't go too heavy on it because it's quite salty. And then just mix all that through until it's all coated. And once you've done that, we now need to brown it off. Right, so I've got a pan here with just a little bit of oil in there, and I'm going to get this onto a fairly high heat. And once it starts to get hot, we're going to get the chicken pieces in. Now you may want to do this in batches because you don't want to overcrowd the pan, otherwise the chicken's going to stew rather than kind of get a nice golden brown. Now what I've also done is got my casserole dish ready for the chicken to go in. Now what we're looking for is a very lightish kind of colour. You don't want it really dark brown, not like a beef stew, because we're trying to achieve something different here. So I'm going to fry these off for a minute or so till they take on the right colour, and then we'll get them in the dish. Right, so I've finished browning off the chicken. That's the kind of colour you're looking for. You can see it's not super dark, but it has got that nice golden brown tinge to it. What I've also done at this point is preheated the oven to gas mark 5, ready for the casserole to go in. And now what we need to do is go and prepare the veg. Right, so I've got my veggies here that we're going to use in the casserole. I'm just going to get those out of the way for a second, because what we're going to do with these potatoes, very, very simply, is we're just going to cut them into chunks roughly the same size. And once you've done that, they can go straight into your casserole dish with the chicken. Don't need to do anything else with those. And then we're going to tackle the leeks. I'm going to have to use my carving knife because it's the sharpest one I've got at the minute. I know you're all sitting there thinking, sharpen your knives. I will, I'll get round to it, I promise. So all I'm going to do with these is just take off the outer layer, because that can be a bit tough and chewy. And I'm going to take the end off and then just the tip, and I'm just going to cut the leek into little rounds. Now what I'm going to do is put these in a colander and give them a good old wash, because as you can see, we might be able to see that they're quite muddy. So I'm going to give these a quick rinse and then we'll get them in the pan. Right, so I've rinsed the leeks. I'm going to get them into the same pan that we fried the chicken in. And then what I've got here is 3 medium-sized carrots, and all I've done is just peel them and then just slice them at an angle. I've also got a stick of celery here, which I've finely diced. We're going to add that to the pan as well. And then I've got my 2 bay leaves here, which I'm going to pop in the pan with the potatoes and the chicken. And before I slice the garlic, I'm going to get the pan onto a low heat. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Ah, thank you very much. Much obliged. Now there should be enough fat in there from the oil and that's come out of the chicken, but if there isn't, just add a touch more oil. And whilst that's coming up to temperature, we'll deal with this garlic. I've got 2 nice fat cloves and we're just gonna lightly bash them. Just take off the skin, usual drill, and then all I need to do is just to slice it nice and thinly, and then all you need to do is just to finely chop it. Again, don't need to be too funny with it. So that's the garlic chopped. We're not going to add it to the pan just yet because I don't want it to burn. I've also got the veggies here, again on a fairly low heat. And all I'm looking to do is to just soften them slightly, which is going to help with the cooking process. It's going to lift off any bits of chicken off the pan as well. And it just helps bring out the natural sugars in the veg as well, which helps with the sweetness, helps with the flavour. So I'm going to cook these gently for about 3 to 5 minutes till they go slightly soft, and then we'll move on to the next step. Right, so I'm about 4 minutes in to cooking this veg. I'm now going to add the garlic, and then I'll cook that out for another further minute. Right, next thing I'm going to add is some olive oil. You could use butter, but again, I'm trying to watch my fat intake, so I'm using olive oil instead. You want about half a tablespoon, or the equivalent amount of butter, which is, in British terms, a small knob, I suppose. Next thing I'm going to add is a tablespoon and a half of plain flour. That's going to act as a thickening agent to our casserole. So just mix that through. Now you need to stir it and cook the flour out for about a minute. If you just throw it in, mix it all up and then chuck it straight in the casserole, you'll end up with a powdery, chalky taste to your casserole, which nobody wants. So I've finished cooking this out and then we'll add it to the casserole. So once you've added the veg, get the pan back on the hob and turn up the heat. And then we're going to add a nice big generous glass of white wine, and then just using a spoon, just scrape up any last remaining bits of chicken, flour, anything that's stuck to the bottom. So what we want to do is to reduce the wine by half. It takes out the bitter alcoholic taste, just mellows it out. Won't take too long, it'll take about 30 seconds to a minute. So I'm going to carry on with this and I'll see you in a bit. Right, so I've added the wine before we add the stock and it goes in the oven. What I'm going to do is add some tarragon. This is a really nice herb that goes with chicken. You want about a teaspoon. You can always add more at the end, but it's a very, very strong herb, so you've got to go careful with it. Then I'm going to add the same again of English mustard. This will just give it a little bit of heat and it will help a bit with the colour as well. I'm not going to add any salt at this point because there's going to be salt in the stock, and also we season the chicken at the beginning. You know, you can always add at the end, you can't take away, so just remember that. Right, so now we're ready for the stock. Want it to just cover everything. You don't want it swimming because as it cooks there's going to be juices that will come out of the chicken as well. Right, okay, so that's thoroughly mixed. I can now pop the lid on and that's now ready for the oven. Now that'll need to cook in the oven for about an hour to an hour and a half, basically until the potatoes are cooked through, because they're going to take the longest. You want to stir it about halfway through just so everything gets mixed together. So whilst that's cooking away, I'm going to get on and do the washing up, and then if I've got time I'll have a bit of a snooze. Right, so I think the casserole is done. It's been in the oven for just over an hour and a half, so let's get it out and have a look. Right, okay, so here it is, the finished chicken casserole. Now I took the lid off for the last half an hour just to kind of reduce the liquid down a bit because it was a bit too much. Now I'm just going to check it for seasoning. Just get a bit of that broth. Doesn't need any salt or pepper, there's plenty of tarragon in there as well. That's why it's really important to watch your seasoning at the beginning. But that is spot on, doesn't need anything else, but I am going to finish it with just some parsley. And I'm going to mix that through. So all that's left to do now is for me to go and take a picture, and then we'll dish some up and tuck in. Right, okay, so I've taken the thumbnail, got a nice big fat bowl here. Let's tuck in and give this a whirl. I'll try and get a bit of everything. There we go. I mean, it's delicious. It's fresh, it's simple, and recipes like this are called comfort food for a reason. When you feel like the world's on your shoulders, you're feeling a bit low, and everything's just kind of getting on top of you, which is story of my life at the minute, let's be honest. This is just going to sort you right out again. You know, it makes you feel happy inside, it's nutritious, it's tasty. What more could you ask for? Well, there we have it guys, a really simple chicken casserole. Cheap as chips, tastes really good, and because we're approaching the warmer time of year, it's not as heavy as something like a beef stew, but it is going to warm your cockles a bit because it is still a bit nippy out. But yeah, give this one a go guys, really simple to make and it tastes wizard too. Well, as you guys are used to, we're now coming to the end of the video, so I just want to finish by saying if you like the video, then please stick a like down below, leave a comment, share it across your social media platforms, and if you'd like to show me some love, then please hit that subscribe button, and also if you click that little bell icon next to it, every time I upload a video, you'll get notified. And as always, if you stick around at the end, there'll be some links to some other videos, and if you'd like to subscribe, there'll be a button for that as well. So I'm going to end this video here, so thanks again for watching, and I'll see your beautiful faces next time for more tasty fun and frolics, and bye for now.